holding midfielders will be Nick Beasler and Luke Mulholland. Luis Silva will play the 10, and your forwards from left to right, Joao Plata, Yura Movsisian, and Daniel Haber, who spent last year with Vancouver's USL squad.
All right, we're set for kickoff. Alan Chapman, Utah native, actually running the middle here as it's preseason for the pro referees as well.
Didn't you tell me to stop you if you said anything about Alan Chapman?
Just anything untoward,
okay.
not anything,
all right,
period.
All right, that's fair.
The Red Bulls knocking it around. Ball won by Luis Silva. Great to see Luis Silva back in the Claret and Cobalt after roughly 12 months away with Tigres in Mexico. Ryan Mera, former teammate of Chris Wingard during his year at NYCFC a couple years ago. Here's our first look at Justin Schmidt, center back rookie out of the University of Washington. As a corner kick comes now for the New York Red Bulls.
Yeah, good opportunity for Justin Schmidt to get out and show himself against a team, what he could do against MLS caliber talent here.
Luke Mulholland guarding the near post. Cleared by
Haber.
That's Haber, huh? Haber, despite his Canadian citizenship, will count as a domestic player for the Monarchs in this 2017 season. Red Bulls building out of the back. Coaches from both teams letting us know that they've spent most of the preseason working on defensive shape. Great cross off the bar. Red Bulls will retain possession. Ball won nicely there by Luke Mulholland. Plata looking for Yura, but those two not quite yet on the same page.
Yeah, going back to that last play, a good opportunity there for Alex Mule. Just couldn't get it under the crossbar. Great cross there from the left side, and just missed it, hitting the crossbar and getting cleared by Real Salt Lake.
Another ball over the top, snuffed out by Aaron Mond. Matt Van Okel between the pipes for RSL as Nick Raimondo wraps up his January camp with U.S. national team.
Yeah, both teams without their starting keepers away with national team duty. Luis Robles as well.
Red Bulls trying to work out of the corner. Luke Mulholland has other ideas. Yura checks back. Wins a throw. Looking for Silva. Red Bulls working through the midfield, and DeMar Phillips adjudged to have committed the foul there. Robbie Finley's let the hair grow out a little bit. He's a little hard to recognize out on the field. That and wearing number 26. RSL fans familiar with him wearing either 10 or 55. Good play there by DeMar Phillips to apply pressure on the cross. Phillips no longer part of the Jamaican national team setup. Luke Mulholland winning yet another 50-50. Nice ball from Plata. Finding Haber out wide right. There's a cross, misses Silva. Yura can't quite get there. Heads up play there from Joao Plata to start that counter.
Great ball to get that out, get Real Salt Lake out on the run. But as you mentioned, just not the sharpness just isn't there on the offensive end yet, and you don't expect it to be a weekend. And
right.
especially when you consider Luis Silva's only been in training, 4 days now, and Daniel Haber with his first week with Real Salt Lake. So still learning each other's tendencies, learning how guys like balls played to them, where guys like to run on the field. We'll get there eventually, but
was good to
both
see,
teams will get there.
It was good to see RSL have that many numbers forward on a counter.
And that's been a focus of this team is springing into the attack quickly when you get possession of the ball, and you saw that there, how effective that can be when it's executed right.
Mond playing out wide right to Tony Beltran. Inside to Haber. Sorry, that's Beasler. Nick Beasler. Former Notre Dame teammate of Max Lakawecki with the Monarchs. Matt Howley, the new strength and conditioning coach, also from Notre Dame, as Golden Domer influence pervades Sandy.
Does that make us West Bend? Or
ball gets away from Phillips there. It'll be a Red Bulls throw going the other way. Alex Mule will be set to restart for New York. Now back to Sal Zizzo. Controlled by Silva to Mulholland. Chapman lets him play. Silva now switching the point of attack wide right to Tony Beltran. It can't quite corral that offering.
You know, speaking of Notre Dame, a lot of UCLA presence on this team now too. Nick Raimondo and Tony Beltran have been here for quite a while, but add in Jose Hernandez, the homegrown player, add in Chad Barrett, add in Chandler Hoffman with the USL team. I mean, there's a reason the Bruins have been so successful over the years. They just pump out MLS-level players.
That's right. That powder blue and gold UCLA presence in Salt Lake will be felt. Red Bulls trying to work down the left side. Daniel Royer. Playing out of the back. The Red Bulls, as we mentioned, preparing for CONCACAF play at the end of the month, starting quarterfinal knockout stage with home and home with Vancouver. Luke Mulholland once again. Some help from Aaron Mon there to win that. Silva trying to find Plata. Bamera off his line to snuff out that chance.
Yeah, watch for Silva and Plata. We mentioned it a little bit when they were together in 2015. Obviously, they came up through Toronto together, and their connection off the field, I'll say, is as good as their connection on it. And the more that they play together, they'll be able to reestablish those connections and could lead to some good things for Real Salt Lake this year. How
much of preseason is going to be spent trying to figure out where Luis Silva's best spot is on this club, because he is so versatile?
I feel like the same can be said for a few guys, and you look at even Albert Rushnak, who has played, brought in to play as your number 10, but has played so much of his career, his young career at least, on the wings that if you decide to bring him into a lineup with Silva or even with Plata, there's so much versatility in that group. You can play guys and interchange them so fluidly, I think, that it's going to make the team very difficult to defend.
Silva creating some nice opportunities for Yura Movsisyan there, about 30 yards from goal, but Yura's shot from distance snuffed out, and now the Red Bulls headed the other way.
And that's not to mention Jordan Allen as well.
Yep. Jeff Cassar planning on a full side change at halftime, so we'll see 11 new players for RSL in the second half. And then another dozen or so on the, available on the bench, even at that point. The guys who do not play today will engage in a training session, maybe get ready for Friday's 11 a.m. match against San Jose Earthquakes here.
Fridays, right?
Friday. Did I say Saturday?
Yeah, you might have.
It's preseason for everybody. DeMar Phillips settling things down here on the left. Haber dispossessed.
Beasler,
Excuse me, I keep getting those two mixed up, but Matt Van Oekel is there to snuff out a chance.
Such a big presence, Matt Van Oekel. He's very vocal. You know, you look at him and physically he's so much different than Nick Raimondo, and obviously plays the position different, but the one spot where they're very similar is they're both very vocal.
Plata and Yura trying a little 1-2 in the box. Red Bulls win it. Ultimately, the ball bounds back to Plata, who tries to go near post. His shot wide left here in the 11th minute. I gotta think that Van Oekel is the most imposing goalkeeper in RSL history. Goal kick from Mira. Beasler challenges. Mulholland pops it up. Settled by Felipe. Back to Mulholland. And Silva finally clears. Chapman will whistle the foul against Felipe there.
Felipe, I think his importance with this team is going to be maybe emphasized a little bit this year in the absence of Dax McCarty. You look at Felipe, Sean Davis manning those two central midfield spots right now. A lot of stock put into Sean Davis, as well Tyler Adams, who's away with the U20 national team right now. So a good opportunity for those two, Adams and Davis, to really establish themselves in this league. Davis now in, I believe, his third year. First year spent a lot of time with the USL team, which really you see the importance of that USL team in developing players, and Sean Davis now ready to kind of take that role with the first team.
Finley pressured out of bounds by Beasler. Phillips with the throw, finds Yura. Nearly dispossessed. Nice little 1-2 with Silva. Trying to get around Aurelian Collin. Can't. And then Yura trips up a backtracking Sal Zizzo. Zizzo always seemed to have some pretty good games against RSL when he was a member of the Portland Timbers. Bounced around a fair amount the last several years.
And who can forget his stint on the Benny Feilhaber show?
Apparently I can.
Oh, really?
I wasn't as faithful a follower of...
Yeah, that's fair.
Finley. Back to Davis. He tries to spring mule down the right. And it's out for an RSL throw. 14th minute, 0-0. RSL looking rather compact here in the early going. Red Bulls probably dictating a little more of the tempo and possession thus far. Felipe trying to go over the top to Finley, knocked down by Schmidt. Yura can't quite keep it away from Zizzo there. There's There's Haber working back defensively to win it for RSL. Silva, a little miscommunication there with Aaron Mond. It'll be a Robbie Finley throw for the Red Bulls. Here's a good look at Jeff Cassar. Now in his 4th season with Real Salt Lake. Club's advanced to the playoffs in 2 of his 3 seasons at the helm, 8 of the last 9 overall. As a Red Bulls opportunity trickles harmlessly over the end line, it'll be a Matt Van Okel goal kick here. What's your assessment of Schmidt in his first week of preseason here, Matt?
There's always an adjustment when you move from the college level to the pro level, and he's gone through a little bit of that. But when you look at his makeup, he's just so physically imposing. He's a big, strong kid. He can move well, and he's not afraid to go in and make contact with someone. Sometimes that can be a factor when you're making that adjustment is not knowing when and how to go in on a guy. And the one thing that when I look at him, there's the way he carries himself and kind of some of the ways that he plays. It reminds me a lot of Chad Marshall. And you hate to put that amount of pressure on a kid.
Praise.
But a lot of the ways that the things he does, just something about the way he carries himself just reminds me a lot of Chad Marshall. And if I don't know that the expectation is to have a 3 or 4 time MLS Defender of the Year, but the progression is there for him. The opportunity to progress is there for him. So we'll see how much of that he takes advantage of and how much he's able to get in.
While we were talking about Justin Schmidt, here's Haber finding a long ball deep in the corner. His cross to no one is there. You don't see Euro with his hands out at the top of the box saying, hold on, buddy. I think getting back to Schmidt, it may be more realistic to see him get a lot of games with the Monarchs this year before he finds MLS minutes. The days of college players coming straight into MLS are few and far between. As Plata wins the ball from Zizo. He's on the attack. He's got Silva on his left. He cuts to his right, looking for Yura, who's flagged off. I don't know how that ball got through to Yura.
Yeah. Some sort of sorcery in Plata's boots right now. I don't know that.
There's a replay now. Plata surging forward, electing not to spring Silva.
Wow, just missteps there. I don't know. I still can't see how that ball got through.
18th minute, 0-0. Felipe tracks back. Colin. Back to a deep-lying Felipe. Wide left to Justin Bellew. Red Bulls working through the midfield quickly here. Beltran there to thwart the opportunity. Nervous times there for Van Okel under pressure from Ferrone. Tony Beltran cutting his hair recently, shocking the RSL social media world after his recent wedding.
He's just making all sorts of changes to his life right now. I don't know that we're ready for the new Tony Beltran.
Tony now in his 10th season with RSL. Of course, you have Nick Romano and Kyle Beckerman in their 11th years, and Chris Wingert, his 10th year with RSL. Obviously had 1 year away with NYCFC.
I believe, and I'd have to double check this, but I believe Tony Beltran's the longest tenured player to only play with one pro team in MLS right now.
RSL long known for keeping a tenured core together. Plata can't quite get out of out of danger, but Zizo knocks it out. It'll be an RSL throw here. DeMar Phillips on the left side. Plays to Ura. There's Jesse Marsh. You had a nice chat with him before the game, Matt. What insights did he provide?
Well, it's a difficult task to prepare your team for Champions League this early in the year, and it's I think in a lot of ways a blessing that you draw another MLS team that's going through a lot of the same preseason issues that you're going through, much like Real Salt Lake did with Columbus in 2011. Just having that opportunity to play against a team that's also going through preseason rather than a team that's already in midseason form. If you're facing a club from Mexico, Costa Rica, something like that.
Good challenge there from Mulholland. He springs an opportunity. Silva plays out wide to Ura. Ura is dispossessed.
But we saw it last year with Real Salt Lake and preparing for Tigres. There's so much more focus on a lot of the little things when you're heading into a game against a Champions League opponent this early in the year. I think there's a little bit of a luxury that you have when you don't have that game looming, that you can go big picture on a lot of things and bring it down to something small as the weeks progress. But when Champions League's right around the corner, you've got to bring that focus in really early in the preseason.
Ura with the big switch, wide right. Beltran overlapping over Haber. Haber finds Mulholland. He'll reset with Mond. Back wide left over to Phillips. DeMar has a few options. Plays in Beasler. Back to Schmidt. Wide right to Mond. Mond looking for Haber, but the ball is over his head and trickles all the way back to Mira. As the Red Bulls go the other way. Here's Davis on the ball. Wide left to Bellew. Now it's Felipe again in that deep lying spot on the field. Red Bulls getting around Phillips, but not through Schmidt. Phillips dispossessed. Felipe again, trying to go over the top. That's Royer. RSL able to avert danger once again. Beltran back to Schmidt. Mond with the long ball over the top. You saw Ura put his head down and know he had to get on his horse there. But Colin ushers that offering out. Red Bulls once again going back the other way. 24th minute here in lovely Tucson. About 64 degrees right now. Perhaps a tad warmer than either northern New Jersey or Salt Lake City right now.
Still scoreless here through 24 minutes, but a lot more offense than I think I anticipated, as both teams, like we mentioned earlier, putting a lot of the focus in the first week of preseason on defending and defensive shape and how they're approaching things on that side of the ball. But even still, teams have been able to find little corners, little paths here and there, and gotten their opportunities.
Schmidt assessing his options. Back to Van Oekel. Van Oekel with some incredible numbers in Edmonton in the NASL last year. 16 clean sheets in 30 games, 0.55 goals against. He's excited for opportunity at Major League Soccer's level.
One of the things that you can't underestimate is it's a jump in level for him as well. And he talked about that a little bit during the first week, is just adjusting to the speed of play at MLS, because it is a step up from NASL. And even on a team that had this success that Edmonton had, you still need to make some adjustments when you're making that leap to the next level.
Beltran. Back to Mulholland. Inside to Beasler. Touch gets away from him, but he finds Phillips on the far left. His offering glances off the back. Luis Silva tracking down the loose ball, headed harmlessly to Mera. Again, everything coming through Felipe out of the back for the Red Bulls. Plays it back to Colin. Colin looking over the top for Finley. Colin and Finley forever tied together due to MLS Cup 2013 in Kansas City. Get into that later. Phillips ultimately wins the ball back for RSL. Switches wide right to Beltran. There's Haber. Mulholland, Mond, Schmidt, Phillips on the near touchline. Inside to Silva, Red Bulls dispossess. Davis debated getting off to the races there, instead plays back to Mule, back to Felipe. Wide left to Bellew. RSL regains its shape. As the Red Bulls probe around from the back. Felipe spraying wide left again. Blue with the center. Long and wide past Van Oekel, who shepherds it out for another RSL goal kick.
You know, we look at that New York back line, and we talk about guys making adjustments, moving from one level to the next. Aaron Long, another one of those guys, came through, was with Seattle for a brief time, played with their USL team, played with the New York Cosmos last year, and now getting another opportunity at the MLS level. Good to see him. He's a good kid, good hard-working player, and good to see him get another opportunity at MLS.
Beasler looking wide right for Haber, not able to find him. Red Bulls coming back the other way. Zizo back to Colin. Back to Mira. Jesse Marsh and the Red Bull coaching staff looking like they're about ready to make a couple subs here. The half-hour mark, roughly. Colin. Inside to Mule. Back to Felipe. Over to Davis. Wide left to Blue. Big cross to no one. It'll be another RSL throw from deep inside its own left corner. It's a good look at DeMar Phillips there. While DeMar is no longer part of the Jamaican national team setup, young RSL midfielder Omar Holness is. He'll be departing camp tomorrow, heading to Chattanooga to square off against Nick Raimondo in the U.S. on Friday night. Little water break here. Robbie Finley coming off for the Red Bulls after 30 minutes. Also looks like Alex Mule coming off after 30. We'll update those subs for you here in a second. Derek Etienne coming in for Robbie Finley.
Florian Vello on the right side.
That's right.
There.
There's Alan Chapman's whistle. Be a free kick for the Red Bulls here, just inside midfield. 31st minute, 0-0 between RSL and the New York Red Bulls. The Keno Sports Complex in Tucson, Arizona. Felipe whips it into the mix. Headed on, it's loose. Aaron Mond ultimately assists Matt Van Hokel in corralling that ball. Plata steps on the ball, nearly dispossessed. Will be an RSL throw though. Good pressure there from Vallo on Plata. Zizo wins it. Some quick one-touch passing for the Red Bulls. Felipe de Royer, but nothing of it. You're back to disrupt. While Holland controls. Looking for Plata wide down the left. Doesn't really have any other options in the box. He'll take it himself. Tries to go far post, and it's wide right. Eerily reminiscent of his goal at Philadelphia last year.
Right.
Had that gone in. Had that curled in far post.
Yeah. Good opportunity for Joao to get out on the run, though. Get his legs, get that stride going, open up and make a run. And as you mentioned, nobody there on the run with him, and that'll come with time. That'll come with some fitness and some offensive work. Just not there yet.
Long ball restart from Mira. Mulholland once again winning the ball and finding Plata. He's going to try and skin Colin here, and he tucks it almost inside the right post. Instead, it bounced right off the woodwork and into the waiting arms of Ryan Mira. A little unlucky there for Joao.
Surprised a lot of people, I think, in going to his left foot. He's so frequently will default to his right on that, but goes to his left, and good opportunity. And just not enough inside bend on that to get it inside the post.
Good to see Luke Mulholland literally buzzing all over the place, winning a ton of balls and creating opportunities. But here come the Red Bulls. Etienne checks back to win the ball. Now they've got numbers. Schmidt able to recover and snuff out a cross for a Red Bull corner kick. 34th minute.
You know, you talk about Luke Mulholland, and go back to something Brian Dunseth said. It doesn't matter who Real Salt Lake brings in, who somehow this guy's going to find playing time on the field, and sure enough, he ends up with over 20 starts last year when the expectation was that he'd have to compete for time with Sonny, a guy who'd played in European Champions League.
Yep.
Can't keep Luke Mulholland down.
Felipe back to Colin, under pressure from Mulholland. Sprays back wide left. There's Aaron Long to Bellew. Inside to Davis. Ball bounces away there. Recovered by the Red Bulls. Once again, they've got numbers. Looking over the top for Etienne. Headed away by Schmidt. There's Etienne again, trying to play a little 1-2 there with Verone, and intercepted by RSL. Plata trying to get down the left side, knocked away, recovered by Beasler.
Really testing Plata's fitness here in the last few minutes, aren't they? Getting him up and down the field.
Beltran inside to Silva. Creates some space for himself very nicely. Switches wide left to Phillips. Phillips has some options. He's looking for Ura at the penalty spot. Knocked away by Colin. And it'll go over the end line for an RSL corner. .36 minute, 0-0. Joao Plata getting ready to take this corner for RSL. Saw him take quite a few corners last year, even with Javier Morales on the pitch. Got to think it'll be mostly Plata and or Rusnak taking corners this year. Plata going far, looking for Silva, headed down. Haber trying to get on it, can't. The Red Bulls clear from danger. Here's Royer trying to get around Phillips. Ref says play on. Royer and the Red Bulls not real happy with that decision. Phillips plays back.
I think everyone in the field thought that was a foul.
Wide right to Aaron Mond. Mond over the top looking for Haber, but ball sails out. It'll be a Red Bull throw. Here's a look at that play. Question. Phillips had his arms up. No harm, no foul. Is that the rule?
No autopsy, no foul.
Phillips into Mulholland. Silva back to Mulholland. Nicely done, finding Ura down the left. And Ura's going to be flagged off. Ooh. You hear the groans from the RSL bench down there.
Good connection there. You go forward, back, and through. And timing of those runs are going to be very important as you make those types of plays. And just wasn't able to get the timing right on that one.
Really nice
in the
understanding.
Judgment of one referee.
Yeah, really nice understanding there between Silva and Mulholland to create that. Here's a look. I'm not sure this is going to.
Clearly on.
Camera doesn't lie. Phillips assessing his options. Colin beating Ura to that ball. Aurelian Collins seems to have found a home in New York after leaving Kansas City, playing a little bit down in Orlando in their expansion season. Ura working on Zizo. Colin clears off of Ura's back. It'll be a Red Bull throw.
You can only have one clothing line on a team, and they already had Breck Shea, so they had to move him.
Wow. Is that the conspiracy theory?
No, it's a rule. It's a rule. It's a little-known MLS rule.
Zizo preparing to throw here on the near touchline for New York. Looks to Etienne. Headed up, corralled by Schmidt. Back to Van Oekel. From Nick Beasler, brother of Matt, of U.S. men's national team and Sporting Kansas City fame.
And Notre Dame. Why not?
Nick has been in the Timbers organization the last couple of years, played quite a few USL games, and looking for a chance here with Real Monarchs in 2017. Real Monarchs schedule coming out later today, Matt.
That's called a tease in the business. You can go to rsl.com/monarchs
for tickets and other information.
Beasler, though, has been tried at center back and at that holding mid spot here in preseason so far. Still trying to figure out which position he fits best. And I think when you look at the Monarchs roster, when you anticipate probably having Justin Schmidt in there, Beasler may be best suited to be playing that holding mid role with the Monarchs next year.
Phillips looking for Ura, won by the Red Bulls. They're off. The other way. Felipe trying to go over the top. Verone nods it down. Wide left. Another cross in. Skips off of Aaron Mond's swinging right boot, and it's out for a Red Bull corner. 40th minute. Good to see Aaron Mond back healthy. I think started 50 of the last 52 games for which he was healthy prior to that foot injury late last year, which coincided with RSL's 8-game winless drought in September and October.
Yeah, he just proved to be so vital to this team's defense. And you look at that 2015 season, which it's not a lot you'd like to remember from that year, but Aaron Mond's progression, and he ends up winning the team's Defensive Player of the Year award. There's a lot to be said for what this team was able to do to develop talent in a year that was a disappointing year on the standings.
Yeah, Mond and Justin Glad had formed quite the partnership last year in front of Nick Raimondo, in between Phillips and Beltran. Glad will presumably miss a little bit of the first half of the season, including the rest of this month, with the USA under-20s as they proceed through CONCACAF qualifying and hopefully the World Youth Championships this summer. That's Haber unable to keep the ball in the corner. Red Bulls heading the other way. Phillips harassing Royer, who switched over here to the right side temporarily. Zizo to restart. Felipe. Jesse Marsh bringing Felipe from Montreal to Red Bulls with him a couple years ago. Mulholland tracks down a ball in midfield, looking for Plata wide right. Knocked down. Here comes New York. Verone one-on-one with Schmidt. Pressure from behind. Holds it off. Finds Etienne on the left side of the box. Ball rolls into the corner. Mond regulating. Here's the cross. Headed away by Tamar Phillips. Red Bulls retain possession. Surveying options is Etienne. New York working wide and back. Reset. There's Felipe. Etienne. Trying to find Royer. Nice cross, knocked away by Schmidt. Zizo with the low driver, cleared away by, I believe that's Biesler.
Yep.
I think Ura's getting tired of running alongside Aurelian Collin over here. Here's another look at that sequence for the Red Bulls. Knocked out, low shot, knocked away. It was actually Phillips. Red Bulls with another chance here late in the first half. Wide right is Gonzalo Verone.
Yeah, good opportunity there for Verone, and that's what you hope to see if you're the New York Red Bulls is for him to take those opportunities when he gets them. Missed just wide, but if they're going to stick with this 4-2-2-2 formation, a lot of that's going to be keyed on the production of Gonzalo Verone, and there you see a good opportunity for him, and just missed wide of the post.
Approaching the 45th minute here, 0-0 in Tucson. New York Red Bulls, Real Salt Lake. Here come the Red Bulls down the left side. Big cross in. Mon sticks his foot out, disrupts it momentarily. Red Bulls retain possession atop the box, searching for options, ultimately cleared out by Joao Plata. Plata to Mulholland. Silva back to Mulholland. Mulholland dragged down at midfield. Alan Chapman blows the whistle.
2 on 6 there for Real Salt Lake, and still they're pushing. So you see how this the difference between playing 30 minutes and playing 45, I think. This team's on its last legs here as we enter the last few seconds of the first half.
Yeah, and we'll see an entirely new 11 in the second half for RSL. We'll get a chance to talk to Craig Weibel here at halftime and talk a little bit about building a roster, preparing for the 2017 season, etc. Phillips, wide left. Pressure from Royer. DeMar trying to get around, instead moving back, ultimately dispossessed. Mulholland's there to scrape the ball out of danger. And that's halftime. No extra time in preseason.
Not on Alan Chapman's watch.
0-0, Red Bulls RSL. We've got 15 minutes until the second half kick. Stay tuned for Matt Gash's interview with Craig Weibel.
Pressure's on.
We'll see what the Red Bulls substitution pattern ends up being. Thanks for watching here on RSL.com as well as the Major League Soccer YouTube channel.
It's not just the beautiful game. It's a game that brings families, friends, and communities together. It's a game that teaches, trains, and propels players to new heights. Chapman Automotive is a proud sponsor of soccer, from kids to Tucson's pro team, FC Tucson. Chapman Automotive keeps your team in the game.
Nothing feels better than winning on your home turf. At Desert Diamond, that sensation is right around the corner. This is where best friends get together and your victory dance can go on and on. So what are you waiting for? Get in the middle of the action at the corner of Winning Streak and Easy Street. Desert Diamond, where jackpots hit close to home.
An enterprise of the Tohono O'odham Nation.
Welcome back into Keno Sports Complex. Matt Gash here with Real Salt Lake General Manager Craig Weibel. 0-0 after the first 45 minutes between Real Salt Lake and the New York Red Bulls. And Craig, first of all, what were your impressions of what you saw in the first half?
Well, it could have been 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
It's preseason, so there were a couple lapses on each side, and fitness obviously played a role for both teams. But a lot of good stuff from both squads. Our build-up was good. I liked our defensive shape. Clearly, as fatigue set in later in the half, very early in the year, you come out in the middle of the afternoon in Tucson, and the heat kind of smacks you a little bit. So from the 30th minute on, there was a little bit of survival mentality, but I really liked how our group did. And we stayed together, and we got broken a few times by a very good New York team. They're obviously been together quite a while, and both teams circulating in a lot of players, and as we are, they are, and but some very good stuff. We produced 3 or 4 really good chances to put one in the back of the net, and as we get a little farther into preseason and guys get their legs underneath them, the accuracy will pick up as well.
That connection between Luis Silva and Joao Plata, we saw it with Toronto. We saw it again in 2015 here in Salt Lake, and now they're back together again, and it doesn't seem like they've missed too many beats there.
Yeah, they play very similarly. Mentally, their movements, the way they look, the way they like to combine. There was a lot of really good combination play and good possession from our group, and some of the things that we did today we haven't seen, for quite some time, and it compliments to not only the players but the staff for getting on the same page in a very short amount of time in the last week. Organizing defensively, we're in much better places when we win the ball to kind of spring and attack and go. And again, you can't get too picky on all of the
right.
elements of the game, but at the same time, as the preseason goes on and we start to really focus on the front half of the field, the first week and a half has been focused on the back half of the field, defensive shape, and our possession will increase, and those chances will come a little bit cleaner.
I'll ask you about 2 more players from the first half, and then
Yeah.
we'll kind of move into some other things. But Luke Mulholland, he's a guy that we talk about every year as he's a guy who's going to be fighting for minutes and fighting for playing time, and every year he ends up somehow starting 20, 25 games. Again, we see it here today. He seems like he's out there and he's ready to go, ready to compete for some playing time this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole goal of putting the roster together, and this has been a 24-month goal at this point, and it will continue, is to have a
For
roster.
those counting at home, this was the 24-month plan. We have now achieved the 24-month plan.
We're getting closer. We're getting closer, and the whole point of those plans and those extended plans is to create a roster that's competitive. And, there's only, in a perfect world, there's 11 names that are the starters and this and that. But the truth is, in our roster, there's a lot of guys that can start. And so Luke's a name that's going to consistently be brought up. And to be honest with you, you're going to see him start a lot of games. How many? Depends on how our training goes, depends on health, depends on schedule, depends on heat, depends on travel, depends on so many things. But we finally are getting closer to a roster that's far more balanced and gives the coaching staff a choice to make.
And lastly, Justin Schmidt, who this is a lot of Real Salt Lake fans' first opportunity to see him play. You know him from the University of Washington and the scouting you've done over the 3 years since 4 years since you've left. 4 years now. It's been a while. What kind of things did you see from him in the first half, just in terms of his transition from the college level to the pro level?
Well, a little bit of nerves early, but he settled down, and he is what he is. He's a very straightforward player. He's big. He's strong. He's positionally aware. He's cerebral in the way he plays, but he also has a physical element. In terms of distribution, I thought it got better as the half went on, and then as the legs got tired and the options got limited, a few of the longer balls got away from him. But at the same time, we saw some very good things from him. We saw some very good things from Haber out on the wing as well, who we just signed to our USL team. And there's a lot of really promising players that we still need to be patient with and watch them develop and see how far they get. But a very good 45 minutes from Justin, played in between Aaron and DeMar. So a couple of very experienced pros there for him to be sitting in between, which is nice.
We have a natural propensity, I think, to compare players, and I know that's not your game plan, but
but it is how I make a living. So.
But when I watch him play, I think about it reminds me, just in terms of how he moves physically, his stature, everything, reminds me a lot of Chad Marshall. And you hate to put that amount of pressure on a kid.
Yeah, let's not set the bar too. Let's
right.
not set the bar too high with.
I said the exact same thing to Trey.
But
when you watch him play, just physically he looks very similar.
The comparisons are fun, and at the end of the day, we all have to remember this is entertainment, and entertainment at its best form invites opinions and comparisons, and that's what it hopefully does. And players are very lucky if they are compared to guys like Chad Marshall. I was never compared to guys like Chad Marshall. I was compared to like folding chairs and things like that. So, look, it's 45 minutes. It was a good 45 minutes. It was solid. It was physically strong. It was mentally strong from Justin, and hopefully that's what we see every time. I mean, having coached him at Washington, I know his personality, and that's the type of person he is. He didn't try anything too dangerous. He didn't try anything too special. He's a very straightforward guy, and that's hopefully the way his career goes.
Albert Rusnak joined the team just in the last couple days. What kind of things? I mean, this is such a weird process, getting a guy and getting him signed as early as you guys did, and then having to wait for him to get the visa process done. But now he's joined the team, and what kind of things have you heard? What kind of things did you see from him in his one day of training so far?
Well, yesterday was just trying to get him on his feet and have him break a sweat without passing out from a 30-hour travel day, and joining the team after 4 flights. And by the time we got on the field, I think he had already been up for 12 hours because of the time clock and body clock and all that. So no, he's fitting in very well. His personality's fantastic. It's good for our market. He's a really open young man. At the same time, he's very driven, very focused on exactly what he wants and what he wants to be. And so he mixes in well. I know a lot of the guys had already started. Social media is a wonderful thing, apparently, even though I don't have it. A lot of our guys had started to communicate with him prior to him arriving. And so he already has a few bases of friendships brewing within the group. And it just is another piece in our locker room that makes sense, both personality and quality.
What are the next steps for you as you kind of continue the evolutionary process of building this roster for this year?
Well, the next step now, we have a very healthy roster with a lot of choices for the coaches to make. It is a younger roster now, undoubtedly, and so the next step is drastic or exponential improvement. I'll say is, in order to bring players in now, we need to be very aware of the fact that we need to improve exponentially by adding players, not just add names.
Right.
Yeah, not just add names to add names. Now, there are going to be obviously some additions that don't fit in that category. So I don't want to box everything in and have everyone lose their mind. But we're at a point with the roster now where we get to shop for a few special players, and when they come about, special players aren't just one team guys. They're pursued by a lot of different teams. So we've had a couple of offers go out this offseason that we haven't been able to lock down. We've had a couple that we have been able to lock down, and now it's to continue to focus on improvement. And I think in a perfect world, we'd still add one more really, really high impact attacking player.
I'm going to ask you a Landon Donovan question, but it's not directly
Is
a
it a
Landon
riddle?
Donovan question. Maybe a little. When you go through that process and you have a player of that caliber who's interested in coming to Real Salt Lake, how much does that change? Does that change kind of the scope of the player you look at when you know that a player of that caliber is willing to come here in the right scenario? Does it change kind of the scope and actually, in all honesty, the money that you have available with TAM, with designated player spots, things like that? Is the scope different than it was 2 years ago when you took this position?
Not in my mind, but I think in a lot of other people's minds it is. I think in a lot of the fans' minds it is. In a lot of the media's minds, it has changed. For me, this has always been a market that people should want to play in and do want to play in. If you have the courage to go out and ask them to fill a role that makes sense not only for the club but for them, and if you bring people in with realistic expectations like Landon, and you have those very honest, straightforward conversations with players, it's not impossible to have anyone join RSL. There are restrictions when it comes to finances and league rules and rosters and all that good stuff, but every team deals with those. So a lot of it's just the courage to believe that these players will want to be in our market. And the point, for me, the point is they do. Every player wants to be where they're wanted. And if you never call them, the answer is pretty simple.
Right.
But if you have the right role, and if you're not just ambitious to sign a person because of their name, then the exact role can be correct for every single player given where they are in their lives and everything else. So for me, nothing's changed. It's still the ambition that I had on day one. I think the roster now reflects and the opportunities now reflect a much more competent plan and a much more complete fill and position for guys like him.
Are you going to get out and enjoy the sun for the second half, or are you going to stay in the shade?
I just shaved my head this morning, so I am staying in the shade, man.
All right. Craig, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it, and enjoy the second half.
You got it. Thanks.
Trey Fitzgerald will be back with me shortly. Thanks for watching here on RSL.com.
It's not just the beautiful game. It's a game that brings families, friends, and communities together. It's a game that teaches, trains, and propels players to new heights. Chapman Automotive is a proud sponsor of soccer, from kids to Tucson's pro team, FC Tucson. Chapman Automotive keeps your team in the game.
Nothing feels better than winning on your home turf. At Desert Diamond, that sensation is right around the corner. This is where best friends get together and your victory dance can go on and on. So what are you waiting for? Get in the middle of the action at the corner of Winning Streak and Easy Street. Desert Diamond, where jackpots hit close to home.
An enterprise of the Donna Autumn Nation.
All right, welcome back in Keno North Stadium, Tucson, Arizona, MLS preseason 2017, hosted by FC Tucson. New York Red Bulls 0, Real Salt Lake 0. Trey Fitzgerald alongside Matt Gash. And Matt, I got to think that as both teams' coaches indicated pregame, they were working on defensive shape and concepts, trying to see some combinations out there. The Red Bulls really dictated the tempo, as we'll see in these highlights.
Right, and like you mentioned, just a good start for New York, and they were able to dictate so much of that tempo. But Real Salt Lake wasn't without opportunities of its own, and the game ended up, I think, a lot more open than I thought it would be coming in. And like we'd mentioned, just so much focus put on the defensive side of the ball, and that offensive sharpness just isn't there yet for either team. Like I'd mentioned before, that stuff is going to come as the preseason wears on. But Plata was able to get a lot of runs in later in the half, and some of that's going to be fatigue on the side of New York. Some of that's going to be just caters to his game. And when you look at the combinations that he's had with Luke Mulholland, with Luis Silva, definitely reason to be optimistic that those things can happen in MLS play as well.
Definitely prefer that Plata get some of those woodwork shots out of the way in January as opposed to any time between March and December. Really, you alluded to Luis Silva there at the end. He's really fit in very nicely, and as we talked about in the first half, Luke Mulholland buzzing nicely and really often providing the answers to what we're seeing from Felipe, among others, in the Red Bull midfield. For
sure, and you look at the depth on this team, and it's so much more experienced, so much more versatile, I think, than it was in previous years. So a lot of things that Craig Weibel's done, and if you listen to him at halftime, a lot of things that he still continues to do as they get ready for the next 24 months, I guess, in his planning schemes.
Entirely new 11 in as the second half kicks off here for RSL, just as Derek Etienne is flagged offside. We'll reset the Red Bulls lineup momentarily, Matt. But for RSL, you've got Lalo Fernandez in goal, draft pick Reagan Dunk at right back, Schuler and Horst in the middle, Chris Wingard out on the left. And the holding midfield roles, you've got Sonny and Omar Holness, along with Jose Hernandez, the homegrown signing out of UCLA, at attacking mid. And then up top, on either side of Chad Barrett, you have Jordan Allen and Ricardo Velasco, both RSL Academy products.
Yeah, then you go over to the New York Red Bulls. Ryan Mara still in goal. Aaron Long staying in as a center back as well. Ethan Cutler is going to be your right back. Tim Schmall is going to be that giant with no number in the middle of the field. And David, is it Najim? Is your left back. Thank you. Dan Metzger, a holding midfielder, along with Aaron Basulovic.
Good job.
Feel really good about that one. Right mid is Vincent Bezecourt, and on the left, Florian Velo, who we saw come in the second half. Your two forwards, Derek Etienne and Brandon Allen.
Ricardo Velasco getting ready to take the RSL corner here in the 47th minute. He's going to look for Chris Schuler near post, over his head, nodded away by the Red Bulls. RSL Sonny unable to retain possession, getting dribbled there very nicely. And the Red Bulls are off on the break. Can Lalo snuff it out? He can. Good hustle there by the longtime RSL Academy keeper. Red Bulls quick throw. Knocking around, looking to reset. They do. Wide right, I believe that's Cutler. Back to Long. He tries to go wide left to Najim, and the ball rolls out of bounds. It'll be a throw in from Reagan Dunk, the University of Denver product that RSL took 13th overall a couple weeks ago in the Super Draft.
Good opportunity here for New York getting forward, and good poise from Lalo Fernandez. First to come up with that save and then to get that clearance. Just very good decision for him. Normally, in a lot of occurrences in the past, you'd see him try and do something else with that ball, but you just kick it into the stands and live to see another day, and that's something that's sometimes hard for some players to accept. But good to see his maturation, I think, there to get that clearance.
Velasco switches wide right to Reagan Dunk. He tries to play Jordan Allen through the ball. Just a little too strong. It'll be a Red Bull throw here deep from the left side. David Horst, good to see him back in the Claret and Cobalt, where he got his MLS career off to a start. I believe he started 83 of the last 89 games in which he's played in Houston. Chris Wingert, his first touch of the half, wide left to Velasco. Velasco brought up from the Monarchs to an RSL contract late last year. Sonny back to Wingert. Switches wide right. Dunk controls. Cuts in, looking for Barrett. He can't quite get it through Aaron Long. Nice stretch by the Red Bull defender. Allen trying to play Barrett quickly as the ball comes back. Etienne getting around Horst momentarily. The former Old Dominion product ultimately winning the ball, but off Dunk for a Red Bull throw. Quickly wide right to Bezecourt. But Velasco tracks the ball down. He's trying to lead RSL the other way. You see Jose Hernandez, the diminutive one, in the center attacking midfield role for RSL. Academy product, homegrown, 2 years at UCLA. Reigning Pac-12 Player of the Year, is that correct?
Yeah, co-player of the year along with the forward from Stanford. But freshman of the year in the Pac-12, and then comes back and is the co-player of the year as a sophomore. So much has been made of what Real Salt Lake's Academy is able to do to produce players. And when you come into a league as competitive as the Pac-12 and you're able to win those two awards in back-to-back years, it says a lot about, first of all, your skill level, and second of all, the development that the Academy is going through at this stage right now.
Hernandez dispossessed there a second ago. RSL tracking back, trying to snuff out the Red Bulls. There's a quick restart there from Basilovic. That is Tim Scholl, the tall gentleman on the ball. Hernandez wide left, looking for Barrett. Can he get there? Yes, he can. Long ball over the top. Hernandez alone. Mira punches it away very nicely. You don't always see long aerial crosses into the heads of Joao Plata or Jose Hernandez, but Mira with the heroics to keep RSL from going on the board.
Who can forget those Joao Plata scoring headers in 2 consecutive games, second of which came against Seattle?
There's a reason both those guys are my favorite players. Here's Long working out of the back. Left to Najim, back to Long. Basilovic playing the Felipe role this half, apparently. Coming back to grab the ball and dictate the tempo. Wide right, cross comes in. Poked away powerfully by Horst.
And here you see Barrett getting forward and getting that cross in, and Mara just too big, too strong, too quick to get to that ball for before Jose Hernandez could get there. But you like to see that stuff getting forward, and another opportunity for Real Salt Lake. And when you think about Chad Barrett and what that guy can bring to a team, 7th in the league among active players in career MLS
Here's the
goals.
Red Bulls' chance while we were in replay on the Barrett cross, snared away by Mira. There's Lalo narrowly avoiding disaster there. It'll be a Red Bull corner. Cross into, as Craig Weibel said, the 7'4" unknown center back for Red Bulls. Man's name is Tim Scholl. RSL can't usher it out of danger. Red Bulls keeping the pressure on here in the 53rd minute. Another cross into the spot, knocked away by Schuler. Hernandez, Holness with his first touch of the half. Hernandez springing Chad Barrett down the left side. Barrett waiting for support. Looking for Jordan Allen. He can't quite get a toe on the cross. It'll be a Red Bull goal kick. The RSL bench in this second half is going to be Albert Rusnak, who you guys talked about at halftime. Emery Welshman, just joining camp with RSL/Monarchs yesterday. Andrew Brody, Jesus Leal, Emilio Orozco, Max Lakawecki, Chandler Hoffman, Connor Sparrow, and Andrew Putna. So a Monarchs-heavy contingent on the RSL bench. We'll see how many of those guys get in for Jeff Cassar here in the next 37 minutes.
Yeah, also absent from that group is Charlie Adams, who's been over the first few days was very, very good in training and was able to do so much from the middle of the midfield, but just a little knock keeping him out of the last couple days. But look to him to really take some steps forward here in the next season, as he was a mid-season addition that it seemed didn't really catch his footing with the team right away. But good player, good add some good things to that group.
Yeah, he was fun to watch the back half of the season last year for the Monarchs. He and several other of the mid-season additions. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention congratulations for Justin Glad, Danny Acosta, and Bofo Saucedo, each of whom were named to the USU-20 camp roster today by Tab Ramos.
We can add in Aaron Herrera and Brooks Lennon as well.
So 5 men with RSL ties. Those guys won't come back to the team until March 6th, apparently. So hopefully they qualify out of their group with Haiti, St. Kitts, and Panama and get into the FIFA World Youth Championships later this year.
In South Korea.
Is that where they are? Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Lalo Fernandez will reset here in the 56th minute for RSL. Trying to play quick, finds Chris Schuler. Over to Sonny. Back to Schuler. His pass to Wingert, a little bit out of control there. Sonny really made an impact on the field last year. Unfortunately missed close to 15 games after getting his face crushed in an inadvertent collision with Luis Robles at Rio Tinto Stadium in May of last year.
Nodding heads in the press box here from the Red Bull staff that knows that inadvertent should have had air quotes.
I know Luis felt awful about that. You could see it from his social media the day after that game. Here's Hernandez getting through. Finds Jordan Allen. He takes an extra touch. Hernandez, shot deflected off the RSL player. It'll be a Mara goal kick here in the 57th minute.
Did a little three-man weave there and
got crossed up.
One man was zigging, the other was zagging. Good opportunity there, though, and Chad Barrett there, his arms open at the far post. Those are the opportunities that he puts away when you those scrappy goals that come through various deflections, and Chad Barrett just ends up in the right place at the right time.
Barrett seems extremely happy to be part of the RSL setup in 2017. It's been good spending a few moments with him early in preseason. 58th minute. Red Bulls have numbers. Etienne going one-on-one with Schuler, plays it wide left, intercepted by Winger, clears the ball out of danger, goes all the way back to Mera. Scholl on the ball. Wide left to Long, back to Scholl. Basilovic. Over the top. Fernandez off his line. Takes the ball off of Florian Vallo's feet there. Good to see some aggressive play from Mr. Fernandez. David Horst gets crossed up, loses the ball. It's a January 31st first touch right there. No harm, no foul. As Fernandez will reset for RSL.
You know, last half we talked about Justin Schmidt and the opportunity that he has to get out there on the field, and you had a veteran group as Craig Weibel mentioned around him. You got Tony Beltran, Aaron Mon, and DeMar Phillips surrounding him. A good opportunity for him to get in, and if he's going to make some mistakes, he's got some veteran guys around him that can pick him up. You see the same here with Reagan Dunk, David Horst, Chris Schuler, Chris Wingert. A good veteran group of guys that, at your right back spot, you've got a kid making his first appearance with an MLS club in preseason, and good opportunity for him to show what he can do with another group of players that's at that level.
And then having guys like Mulholland or Sonny in the midfield right ahead of those guys obviously helps out quite a bit as well. Here's Chris Schuler. Nice comeback story courtesy of the Monarchs last year. Saw some time with RSL after Aaron Mond went down. It'll be a big year for him to try to stay healthy and challenge for integral minutes on the RSL back line. Red Bulls getting ready to make a couple subs. Looks like 3 subs actually in the next stoppage here as we approach the 60-minute mark. Etienne working back to open that ball. Scholl through the midfield, intercepted by Horst. Sonny, wide left to Wingert. He'll go over the top looking for Barrett. Barrett 1-on-3. Can't quite beat Aaron Long there. Red Bulls springing quickly into action. Down the left side. Now working back around. I can't say that I've watched a lot of 4-2-2-2s, but the Red Bulls look quite fluid in their tempo here today.
Yeah, if there's one thing you can say for Jesse Marsh teams, is that they're very disciplined in their approach, and I think as much as RSL fans probably don't want to hear about it, the progression that Aurelian Collins made, I think, under Jesse Marsh has been pretty remarkable. And you look at a guy that for so long in his time with Kansas City and with Orlando, you'd see him spring forward from the center back position, making runs that not many center backs make. And while it can be flashy and interesting to watch, it also takes your team out of formation so much, and I think we see so much less of that now in Aurelian Collin, and I think a big credit to Jesse Marsh and kind of communicating to him how New York wanted to play and convincing him that that would be best for him and his career as well, and that this team was going to be successful playing that way, and that he could be an integral part of that team that playing in that type of style. And, can't say enough, I think, good things about Jesse Marsh and what he's done in the last few years with the Red Bull.
Here's Hernandez winning the ball at midfield, playing back to Sonny. Sonny wide right to Dunk. Back to Sonny, not quite enough on that ball. Sonny manages to keep it, and he goes wide left to Wingert. Wingert finding Velasco. Velasco recently named an FC Tucson. Is legend the word they used?
Yeah, legend.
Along with Justin Glad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big Arizona ties here for the RSL Academy products. Red Bull's going to make 4 changes now as they've added a goalkeeper into the mix here in the 63rd minute.
Speaking of imposing figures, goodness.
Ryan Mira, Etienne. A couple others coming off. We'll reset the Red Bulls lineup for you momentarily. Throw in RSL. Hernandez. Back to Barrett. Barrett works around wide right to Dunk. He whips in a cross far post just outside the reach of Barrett there. And it'll be a Red Bulls goal kick here as Matt resets the substitutes for New York.
There you look at the new goalkeeper, Evan Loro. He's a homegrown player who played at the University of Michigan. Listed 6'3", 225. But, like I mentioned, just a big, imposing figure. The center back you see alongside Tim Schmoll is Hassan Ndam, who's the newly signed Cameroonian player who just was announced this morning as he flew in to join the team yesterday, right? So good opportunity for Red Bull fans to see their players, one of their newest players. On the left wing, Zico Lewis, who was the first-round pick, who turned a lot of heads with his statements after his pick. And he'll definitely be looking to impress some people as well. And then at forward, David Soma replaces Etienne.
Whatever gets your blood boiling and motivates you, I'm all for it. I love those comments.
Yeah, but we got to remind everyone that you were the marketing wizard behind He Hate Me, so.
Actually, Rod Smart was the wizard behind He Hate Me.
Well.
I was just along for the ride. So. Here's Lalo Fernandez, 65th minute. Assessing options. Boots it long. Omar Holness almost wins it. Trickles back to Wingert. Wingert looking for Barrett. Rolls away as Hassan Ndam shepherds the ball back to Loro, the homegrown keeper for the Red Bulls. Scholl. Ndam. Wow, Lalo way off his line there. Giving Schuler and Horst an opportunity to witness. Dunk heads it away. Jordan Allen in pursuit, but it'll be a Red Bull throw. Schmoll. Nicely done by Sonny. The Spanish-raised Nigerian.
Expecting his third child in the coming months.
Wow. Keeping up the trend of Jaime
Right.
and Yura.
Yep.
Something in that water in Salt Lake. Hernandez and Wingert applying pressure, unable to win. Schuler recognizing what the Red Bulls had in store, though. Turnover from Fernandez. Velasco harassing. It'll be a foul on him. Quick restart here, about 40 yards from goal by the Red Bulls. Bezecourt there in the mix for New York. Here's a replay. Ricardo Velasco never stops fighting. It's been quite the rise for him through a couple years with the Monarchs, under the tutelage of Freddie Juarez, now an assistant on the first team.
Just everything about his story is just improbable. His rise from where he came from to how he got into, he just happened to live in the town that the academy was brought to, and good opportunity for him to get out and learn at such a young age. And he talked about on our Facebook Live chats, he talked about the importance that Sunday League games played in his evolution as a player. And I think that's one of the things that to a lot of players is lacking, is that opportunity to get out and have kind of some unscripted games, just games where you go out and just play and just be creative, and everything happens organically rather than having kind of a structure to every way you play and every game and whatnot. And I think if you look at so many other soccer cultures around the world, that's such a staple in what they play. And we're getting there. And you see Velasco's just one man, but the more skilled players you have like that have that freedom to express themselves, the better, I think, as a soccer nation will grow.
That same right post that denied Plata in the first half denies the Red Bulls here, as a giveaway by Dunk leads to a dangerous chance, which beat Fernandez wide left, but unable to beat that post as the Red Bulls continue to place a lot of pressure on the RSL back line. Here's Schmoll. Over to Ndam. Back to Loro. Barrett in pursuit. Pressure. Dunk able to win it. Plays it to Horst. Hernandez. Goes kind of 1-on-3. Ends up getting the ball up top. Cleared away by Loro. He throws it out. Throw in for RSL. Here's Jordan Allen trying to make something happen here, and he wins RSL a corner kick in the 70th minute. Big year, big opportunity for Jordan Allen.
Yeah, the spot's there for him to win on that right wing, and if he's able to take that opportunity and run with it, as we mentioned, there's so many versatile players in RSL's attack, and
he doesn't want to be the Swiss Army knife anymore, though.
Yeah, I understand, but
glancing header for Horst, trickles long. Sonny tracks it down. Back to Wingert. Left-footed cross. Trying to find Hernandez. He can't quite control it, and it'll be goal kick for the Red Bulls.
But as I was saying, just so many opportunities for playing time when you look at him and Sebastian Saucedo, and you look at Albert Rushnak and Luis Silva, as we mentioned earlier, and just so much versatility there that you're going to see guys playing different roles and interchanging on the field. And Silva can even play as a number 9 in a pinch, and a lot of talented, creative players in RSL's lineup now.
Goal kick by Morrow, knotted down by Wingert, finds Barrett, over to Hernandez. But the Red Bulls win it back once again, then knock it out. It'll be an RSL throw at midfield. Wingert with the quick restart, looking for Velasco. He's dispossessed by Ndam. And now the Red Bulls headed the other way. Long ball over the top. Horst not worried. Fernandez corrals quite easily. Schuler surveying the midfield, finds Barrett. Hernandez looking over the top to Wingert, but Wingert didn't make the run that Jose was expecting. And here's a Red Bull throw. Pressure from Holness. As we mentioned earlier, Omar departing Tucson tomorrow to play for Jamaica in Chattanooga against the USA on Friday night. Holness v. Ramondo. Is how we're billing that in Utah. Indom, wide left to Schmoll. Further wide left. Finding Lewis. Lewis looks like he might be separated at birth from Paulo Jr. Ultimately won by Jordan Allen. He's looking for Barrett. Just a little too strong. Corralled by Lauro. Schmoll under pressure from Hernandez. Intercepted by Horst. Back to Schmoll. Nice little chop to elude Jose. But then his lefty long ball sails out of bounds for an RSL throw. Lalo Hernandez will reset. Schuler, Holness. Horst. Horst knocked off the ball. Chapman blows his whistle. And it'll be an RSL restart here momentarily deep inside its own half.
Takes quite a shove to knock the big fella Horst off his feet. And certainly upon replay, that's what happened. So.
Horst switches wide left. Wingert's there. He settles, but won by New York. Another long ball over the top. Schuler shepherds to Fernandez. Holness showing. Holness back to Schuler. Schuler, another long ball over the top, looking for Jordan Allen, knotted away by Schmoll. Back to Hernandez. Dunk. Lewis ends up disrupting for New York. Horst flying all over the place. Had his legs undercut a little bit, and it looks like we're going to see their first yellow card of the match issued by Alan Chapman to number 21, Brandon Allen. Quick restart by Sonny. Over to Holness. Barrett, dunk. Knocked away. It'll be an RSL throw. Approaching the attacking third.
You know, we talked about versatility in the front. RSL's got some versatility in the back as well. You look at the four kind of starting caliber center backs they've got: Chris Schuler, David Horst, Aaron Mond, and Justin Glad.
Chris Wingert's going to get a yellow card there. Sliding in from behind. Got a lot of ball, but got a fair amount of Ethan Cutler as well.
And as I was saying, there's so many different looks, and depending on your matchups, depending on form, depending on so many different elements, you can shuffle those four center backs through and give so many different looks defensively and change what you're able to do and what you force your opponents to adjust to.
Schmoll with the restart here for New York. 0-0, 76th minute. Wide left, pressure from Allen and Hernandez. Horst and Allen still battling out there. Quick throw for the Red Bulls, back to Lewis. He's dispossessed by Holness. Finds Chris Wingert down the left side. Wingert long ball over the top, looking for Velasco. And Dom about to shepherd it under control to Lauro. Puts a 50-50 ball in the midfield. Schuler nods it back to Fernandez. Back to Schuler. Back to Lalo. Oh, Schuler goes a little 1-on-2. Gets tripped up. There's that man, Brandon Allen, again. 13 minutes left, 12, depending on Chapman's assessment of stoppage time. Long ball from Schuler over the top, looking for Barrett, knotted down by Schmoll. Cleared by Ndam. Settled by Sonny, just outside the circle. He's looking for Velasco, intercepted.
Got a man down in the box.
Yeah, that's
Looks to
Chad
be
Barrett.
Chad Barrett.
Chad Barrett might have gotten a elbow to the head there in that 50-50 challenge. Getting looked at by Tyson Pace.
Chad Barrett now entering his 13th MLS season. You look back to the Chicago Fire team that he joined in 2005. A lot of big names, a lot of prominent names on that roster, including New York head coach Jesse Marsh.
What did you say? He's 7th all-time amongst active goal scorers in Major League Soccer?
Active goal scorers in MLS right now. Bearing in mind that Landon Donovan and Robbie Keane are not under contract with MLS teams.
Robbie Keane.
He's still floating around out there somewhere.
Tyson Pace gives the thumbs up to Alan Chapman as Chad Barrett exits the field temporarily. It'll be a drop ball here. Hernandez nods it back to Morrow. Chapman decides to blow the whistle yet again for a redrop. Hernandez does exactly what he did once before.
That one was better though.
Because he used his hands like this.
Yeah. So.
Chad Barrett re-enters. 11v11. Schmoll on the ball for New York. Ball over the top, looking for Lewis, knotted down by Winger. Sorry, that's Horst. Have the same haircut. Horst again using his body against Brandon Allen there. Shoves him out of bounds. Be a goal kick for Fernandez.
Hey, is there a guy standing by the scaffolding? Hey, guys, is there somebody leaning on the scaffolding right there?
RSL kicking off its 2017 MLS season 1 month from Saturday, Matt. March 4th, Toronto FC in the house. Saw your Facebook Live with Albert Rusnak talking about how excited he is to go against Giovinco. 2:30 kickoff at Rio Tinto Stadium. There's a few tickets left for the opener. Season tickets and mini packs still on sale at rsl.com.
Yeah, if you want to know about how Albert Rusnak ended up going from Slovakia to Manchester City's youth program or anything about his dog, go ahead and check out the Facebook Live from last night. Just Facebook's, Real Salt Lake's Facebook page. In the video section, there's that interview, that conversation I had with Albert yesterday.
It's good stuff. Albert extremely happy to be part of this league and this club. As Sonny settles the Red Bull throw. Dispossessed, dunk to Holness, wide left to Wingert. Both teams looking for decisive goal here in about the final 9 minutes. Barrett's cross sails wide of Evan Loro. It'll be his goal kick here. The Red Bulls season starting in late February in CONCACAF Champions League play against Vancouver. They will get their MLS season underway on that opening weekend, March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Full slate of games, including games featuring the two new expansion teams, both named United, Minnesota and Atlanta, much to DC's chagrin. Here's a misplay out of the back. Velasco runs onto the slice ball. He's looking for Jordan Allen, who nods it home. Nice goal for Real Salt Lake, 83rd minute.
And it starts with just a simple misplay in the back, and a good run out from Ricardo Velasco. He hesitates. We'll see here in a second. He hesitates slightly because he thinks maybe that might get called offside, but clever ball, just gets in between two defenders and finds Jordan Allen at the back post for the header. Great way to start this preseason for Real Salt Lake. 1-0 lead here in the 83rd minute.
Jordan Allen in full stretch there to get his head on the ball, nod it inside the far post, and that puts RSL up 1-0 again, 83rd minute. Really against the run of play, as the Red Bulls have dictated the majority of the tempo here today. Ndam, the Cameroonian, plays into the midfield. Bezecourt goes 1-on-6, emerges, ultimately cleared by Chris Winger. Headed back in by Schmoll, out by Holness. Velasco controls, can he get around? Appeared to be fouled by Ndam. He's a little upset he didn't get the call. It'll be a Red Bulls throw. Back to Loro. Schmoll. Wide left to Najem. Over the top, knotted down by Schuler. Horst under pressure from Lewis. Gets it over the top. You've got Barrett and Schmoll. Settled by Barrett. Turns, surveys, looking for Hernandez, twists around the defense. Hernandez trying to return the favor to Velasco, and broken up there nicely by Schmoll. RSL throw at midfield as we get a look at the non-call that Velasco thought should have been something. You see Alan Chapman there indicating all ball. It's going to be a Red Bull throw, but Chad Barrett kneeling down again, wondering what's going on there. Lewis trying to get Allen down the left side against Reagan Dunk. Dunk kind of sticks his leg in, and Chapman's going to bring the ball back.
Flags up for offside.
Okay.
We're going to see a change here for Real Salt Lake as Barrett goes down. Chandler Hoffman's going to enter, former number 13 overall pick from the Philadelphia Union. Went on to play for the LA Galaxy and spent last year with Louisville City. Guy with MLS experience, signed to the Monarchs, but given an opportunity to prove himself here in preseason. And so far, he's been one of the highlights from that group of Monarchs players.
Yeah, Chandler Hoffman's looked really good. What little I've seen of him in preseason, heard good things from the guys when he was training back in Salt Lake prior to Casa Grande. Restart here from RSL. Sonny and Schuler settle as we approach the 87th minute. Hernandez through to Hoffman, dispossessed by Schmoll.
Schmoll just towers over Hoffman.
Yeah.
Hoffman's no small
Hoffman,
guy,
yeah.
but he looks tiny out there.
Ethan Cutler ultimately winning the ball for Red Bulls. They'll have a throw here. Again, 87th minute, RSL up 1-0 on a goal just a few minutes ago by Jordan Allen, set up by Ricardo Velasco as the pair of RSL Arizona Academy products team up for the first official goal of RSL's 2017 preseason. No goals in the 0-0 scrimmage on Saturday against NK Istra, the Croatian team. A scrimmage that was broken up into 3 30-minute periods with 3 completely different groupings. Eastro's an interesting story, Matt. American-owned team. General manager is from Phoenix. That's why they're here during their winter break. Playing the Portland Timbers, I believe, right now. Here at the Kino Sports Complex.
Yeah, they're sitting 8th in their division right now in Croatia as they're on their winter break, and they'll return in a little bit. And there you see them there with their bright yellow jerseys against the Timbers. And, it's really cool to see teams like that come in and see different styles of play from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And very physical brand of soccer, at least with that group. But skilled as well. So a good opportunity for Real Salt Lake to get out and get some run out in that first little scrimmage on Saturday.
Long ball over the top from Fernandez, headed down by Schmoll, collected by Sonny. He plays winger and then Holness wide left. Holness trying to spring Velasco. Not quite the pass he was looking for. Here's another look at that goal. Velasco running onto a loose ball in the back. Hesitates. There's Jordan Allen, far post, nodding it home. Virtually uncontested.
Yeah. There won't be any more difficult uncontested goals he'll see, though.
89th minute, Chris Wingert on the left, Sonny in the middle, back to Wingert. Back to Schuler. Schuler looking for Hernandez, who kind of stopped again. Restart here from Loro deep in the Red Bull end. Nodded down in midfield. Hernandez challenging Ndam, collected by Schmoll. There's Allen playing back to Lewis. Red Bulls pressing for the equalizer. Schmoll back into the mix, headed away by Horst. Horst looking for Dunk, a little dangerously, collected by Allen. It'll be a Red Bull throw, top of the 18, extended in RSL's defensive end. Najem with the throw as we approach the 90th minute. Lewis trying to spring Allen, no dice. Hernandez clears all the way back to the Cameroonian center back. Hassan Ndam, wide left to Schmoll. Dunk clears yet again. We're told no stoppage time. And there's the final whistle from Alan Chapman. It's the final. RSL 1, New York Red Bulls 0 here in Tucson, Arizona, early in preseason. It's not even February yet. Thanks to everybody in the truck. Thanks to everybody watching on either Major League Soccer's YouTube channel, RSL.com, or NewYorkRedBulls.com. We'll take a quick break. Back with highlights in a moment. Thanks, Matt Gash.
Thanks.
It's not just the beautiful game. It's a game that brings families, friends, and communities together. It's a game that teaches, trains, and propels players to new heights. Chapman Automotive is a proud sponsor of soccer, from kids to Tucson's pro team, FC Tucson. Chapman Automotive keeps your team in the game.
Nothing feels better than winning on your home turf. At Desert Diamond, that sensation is right around the corner. This is where best friends get together and your victory dance can go on and on. So what are you waiting for? Get in the middle of the action at the corner of Winning Streak and Easy Street. Desert Diamond, where jackpots hit close to home.
An enterprise of the Donna Autumn Nation.
All right, we're back. Keno North Stadium, home of FC Tucson. Major League Soccer 2017 preseason underway. New York Red Bulls falling to Real Salt Lake 1-0 on an 83rd minute goal from Jordan Allen. The Red Bulls really dictating the tempo of most of this game. Lots of opportunities for both clubs, especially on the counterattack. Joao Plata finding the far post in the first half. There you see Lalo Fernandez coming off his line to squelch a chance. Here's Chad Barrett looking over the top, trying to find Jose Hernandez. But Ryan Mira, the man, the myth, the legend, is there to knock it away. Lalo Fernandez getting a finger on the shot there. Full stretch for Lalo. Here's Chad Barrett once again, making essentially his RSL debut. Trying to find Jordan Allen. Can't quite connect. Jordan Allen playing on the right wing in the second half today. Jose Hernandez. Once again back to Allen, but his shot glancing off his teammate. Sonny, David Horst dispossessed. Red Bulls getting a chance here. But nothing doing. Ricardo Velasco, RSL Academy product. 2 years with Real Monarchs. Here's the left-footed in-swinger punched away by Lalo. Little giveaway out of the back for RSL, and the same post that denied Plata in the first half denies the Red Bulls here in the second half. That could have put New York up 1-0 in about the 70th minute. David Horst mixing it up in the back for RSL. Here's a yellow card in his second confrontation with Mr. Allen. Chris Wingert getting a yellow card literally 30 seconds later. Here's the giveaway in the back that led to the RSL goal. Tracked down by Ricardo Velasco. His cross finds Jordan Allen. He tucks it calmly inside the far post. And that's the game winner for Real Salt Lake. You see Jeff Cassar talking to his second half group. RSL back in action Friday morning, 11 a.m. You can watch that game against the San Jose Earthquakes right here on Major League Soccer's YouTube channel or on RSL.com. Thank you to everybody in the truck. Great looks. Thanks to everybody here at FC Tucson, New York Red Bulls. Thank you to Jesse Marsh for his time helping us prepare for the broadcast, and we'll see everybody from Tucson again throughout the week.